Hello, this is my first ACE Media Critical Reflection vlog, and for this vlog I will be answering the question, how does your product use or challenge conventions, and how does it represent social groups or issues? Starting off with my cover page, a common convention that I use is having a large masthead. I do this so that the masthead sticks out of the rest of the page. Next, the color choices of the words of the cover page are black and turquoise. I wanted to use black so that no words would go unnoticed or blend in with the background, and the use of turquoise is to accentuate the summer theme that I wanted to convey. You will also notice that I include images of a few recipes and shoutouts of featured articles and recipes. I did this to attract the people to the magazine in hopes that the titles would interest the reader. Another common convention that I use is the addition of seasonal issue of the magazine as well as the month, to let my readers know that the recipes surround the summer season. However, a few conventions that I challenged were having the use of multiple central images instead of just one central image. I chose 3 central images, or dishes, to incorporate so that the audience sees more of the dishes. This also helped me set a tone for the rest of my magazine, as well as adding a pop of color that stayed in the realm of my color scheme. Also, you notice that the background is not the typical background of a magazine, however, it is a word art of my masthead. I wanted to do this so that my product would have a unique element that is original to my brand. I think this touch adds an interesting and alluring aspect to the cover page while not distracting the reader from the main aspect. Moving on to my table of contents, I use common conventions such as eye-catching pictures, clear demonstration of page numbers, page titles, a blurb that gives insight into what is on each page, and also the change between fonts and sizes to let the reader know which is a title and which is a blurb. I also maintain the color scheme in my page. Even with the 2 very different dishes, the same colors are still incorporated throughout them. I also added a traditional white background to keep the emphasis on the content. One of the conventions that I challenged, though, was the amount of images that I used. I wanted to make the table of contents look as sleek and as organized as possible, which is why I only used 2 images and put them to the left side of the page. Lastly, my 2-page spread. Some of the common conventions that I used include the titles and subheadings displayed, page numbers clearly displayed, the pictures included of the dish, and the recipes included. Also, as you can see, the words such as flavors, summer, and focaccia are all highlighted with different colors surrounding the text. I did this to create a visual hierarchy that emphasizes the important aspects of the magazine. For example, the words flavor and summer are emphasized because it is a cooking magazine and it is the summer issue of it. And focaccia is emphasized because the masthead of the culinary magazine is Need to Know, which is a pun on the action of kneading the focaccia. A convention that I challenged was the specific instruction on how to make each dish. I wanted to make the magazine feel a little more casual and laid back, which is why I included a text box that says, "Incorporate everything as preferred." This not only gives the magazine a casual feel, but it also helps the reader feel more engaged with the magazine. The social group or issue that is being represented in my magazine is people greatly affected by the inflation of grocery prices. As you can see in my table of contents, I have a section titled Cooking on a Budget. I wanted to include this important issue because more and more people are being affected by food insecurity due to the inflation of grocery prices. This section is specifically targeted to those who have a limited budget on their food spending. The Cooking on a Budget section represents individuals or families who come from lower income or are more financially conscious social groups. It highlights the issue of food affordability and economic constraints. This section will offer practical solutions for eating well without spending too much. This topic often resonates with students in college, single parents, or anyone facing economic hardship. Upon reflection, I would like to increase the diversity of my recipes in my double-page spread. I feel like my recipes are very similar, and also there's only 2, so I would like to increase them to maybe 3 or 4 recipes. I would also like to make my table of contents a little bit more interesting looking. I think I could still keep the organized aspect of it and make it more interesting, but I would have liked to improve on that. The improvements that I did make, however, was text and visual elements that were compatible with the visual hierarchy of my magazine, for example, highlighting or bolding certain words. Also, the inclusion of the focaccia recipe made the pun of my masthead more effective. Before including the focaccia recipe, my masthead was not as effective because it didn't correlate with any pun. I successfully captured the attention of my audience by using ethos, such as words like fresh, fun, and creative. I use logos by including more articles in the table of contents and the featured articles on the cover page. For Pathos, I stuck by the color scheme and emphasizing the bright and fresh ingredients that go along with the summer season. And for Kairos, making it a summer issue as summer is approaching, but also having timeless cooking on budget features. Altogether, I think my product really catches the emphasis on fresh ingredients and budget ingredients, as well as the theme of summer. Thank you for listening to my presentation.